Hello. Hi. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. This is the Trading Desk.
The Trading Desk.
That's right, with Joshua Thanos.
And Jason Mane.
Absolutely. So today we have a packed show. We have some cool things to go over. Our market assessment's going to be very interesting today. But before we get to that, let's get to this. What's on your wrist, Jason?
Straight into wrist shots.
Oh, yes.
All right, so wore the Panerai for the last 2 weeks or so. Had to do some justice to this guy. It was off the wrist for too long. So that's your 114060. It's a one-off. It's the only one in the world ever like this watch. No, it's probably the most mass-produced Rolex. But fantastic non-date ceramic sub, if you're not familiar with that reference. So 40-millimeter case. Just awesome watch. Great everyday watch. Couldn't be happier with this.
Yeah, and that's gone up in value recently, yeah?
Yes, it's worth more than I paid for it right now.
Okay,
So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, well, that's a watch that we used to sell pre-owned for around $6,000 or so. Right now, that watch sells pre-owned at list about $7,500 bucks. So
and if you can get one,
right? Yeah, you can't really walk into an AD and get it. So and here's another watch you can't walk into an AD for. Can you get that, Harrison? Oh, nice. All right, so this is a 16622. This is my Rolex Yachtmaster stainless steel. It has a platinum bezel insert, a platinum dial. This was a watch that was first released in 1993. This watch specifically is from 2003, so what I like to call the 10-year anniversary edition, though I'm really the only one who celebrated that. I don't think anyone else did. It's got the older style clasp. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller, a little slimmer. I really love the watch. I debuted this. Was it with you, Jason, or was it with Tim? I can't remember.
That was with me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've had this watch for a few months now. Absolutely smitten with it. Love it. And yeah, so there you go. That's a wrist check. Cool. So Rolex heavy today.
Very cool watch, yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. So let's get right into it. If you guys know our show, you know our format. We do wrist shots. Next, we do this or that. Wow, that's pretty cool,
Look at those
man.
graphics.
That's cool. All right, so today's this or that. We decided. Well, Jason, why don't you explain this or that today?
So Josh and I have a little running thing where he picked the watch first last week and the kind of the theme of this or that. So he said this week you pick. I decided, you know what? Let's do non-traditional shaped watches. Let's do square or square-ish watches. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I always kind of think about is something that I want. I always have, I know you guys do the same thing. You guys have, watches on the hit list. That's always the thing that comes to the fourth run of my mind. So, of course, it had to be this Bulgari. I've talked about this before. This is the Octo Finissimo in the full titanium. It does exist in other case metals now, but titanium's, to me, still the best option. 40-millimeter case, 5.5 millimeters thick, relatively thin for what it is.
Crazy thin.
Micro rotor automatic. One of the coolest things about this is it has a really large exhibition case back. You can really see the movement, and the micro rotor is pretty cool. Just wears like a dream on the wrist. This is a watch you forget you're wearing. Yeah. And, pretty moderate price tag. Mm-hmm.
What's the retail on that?
I think it's just short of 14. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, but I'm hoping to pick one up pre-owned probably in the next couple of years.
That goes around 10 or so?
8,500, I think, in the next 3 years.
Gotcha.
Great watch. So let me know what you guys think. Yeah. And that's my this.
All right. So, that, which was my watch, to go up against that. And by the way, guys, there is a poll in the comment box.
It's working.
Is it working? It's working. So you guys are going to decide this or that. You'll decide which watch wins in the head-to-head matchup. But mine is going to be the Linde Verdelin Octopus 2. This is a double date that I picked. Also a titanium watch. It's the one that's pictured there. The watch has so many different variations. The one that I picked today has this bright neon green, orange, yellow accents, strap. The thing's awesome. So this is 44 millimeters. It's going to wear a lot like an offshore. This is actually, so my idea of Linde Verdelin, whenever I'm trying to describe it to a customer who hasn't worn them before, it's a cross between like Panerai and Audemars Piguet. That's kind of what do you feel here. So
see that, yeah.
the watch contours to the wrist really well. It's a 44 millimeter. So this is the complete opposite of the Octo Finissimo in terms of wearability. This is going to be a big chunky watch, though it's not going to be overbearing. It's not going to be a watch that's going to be top heavy at all. This one's made out of titanium, except for the case flanks and the bezel are going to be ceramic. It's automatic movement. Linde Verlin's small company. I think they make a couple thousand watches a year, not too much, not too many watches. You can actually buy their watches directly from their website, which is nice, and all their price points are up there. I believe the retail on this watch is a bit more than the Octafinissimo. It's going to be in the high teens, I believe. You can find them pre-owned from anywhere between probably $8,000 and $10,000 for this watch specifically. So yeah, that's my that. It's this is the Octopus. It's their diving watch. The cool thing about Linde Verlin is when they came out with these computers that would attach to the watch. So they have a dive computer that they sell that'll attach to the watch. So you can use this as a legitimate diving computer. They also make something called a Spido, which is like their this is like their diving watch. They have the action watch, which is a Spido, which they have like an altimeter you can put on top of the watch too. So that's part of
bunch of different modules, different straps. Modules, that was kind of the idea of the brand. Since your explanation of your watch was a little bit longer, I'll go back. Just in terms of fighting back here, and it's all just friendly competition. But how gorgeous is that watch? We got a full screenshot up there for you, sub-seconds. I wish I had loaded a back, a movement shot of this piece because it really makes the watch. But it doesn't get much cleaner than that. Just gorgeous piece. And if you've never tried one of those on, you have to. Sheer value retention, just quality of construction, better movement. I think the Bulgari is definitely the winner.
Well, it's this is bringing Bulgari kind of back into not that it was ever I don't know if Bulgari had a heyday.
And
in terms
I like it, so it's cool.
Exactly, yeah. That's why it's not cool. But it's I don't know if they ever had a heyday in terms of like men's watches, but this is a watch that is kind of bringing them to the forefront. There are a lot of guys who never even thought about Bulgari before, and they are going for that watch. So I will give you that. Though my opinion, the Linde Verlin's definitely cool, and you're not going to see anyone else wearing that watch, honestly, in your city if you're wearing that watch walking around. But go ahead and vote. We'll see truly who the winner is.
For the first time, the poll. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. So that was this or that, and we'll revisit the poll a few times. Do we have results? Can we pull them up or no?
Might be a little early, but let's see.
Fake news. This looks like fake news to me, but okay.
Still early, but
all right, cool. All right, so that was this or that. Next segment, just like last week, we have the market assessment. Maybe? Yes? No? Hey, there you go. Weekly market assessment.
Going up.
All right, cool. So this week it's actually pretty easy for us. There was some auctions this week, namely a Phillips auction that was out of Geneva and was very interesting. The results were very interesting. We saw some things. We saw things that we knew were going to happen. Patek Philippe, Rolexes, whatnot. We also saw some things that we were surprised by. Some Omegas, Breitlings, and whatnot. So let's go ahead and visit it. We got them. Bit of one by one here. So
one of the cool things is we have some screen grabs and some prices actually for you guys here, so you can see if the viewers. One of the things too is maybe you didn't follow this auction, right? And we have to. One of the things we talk about weekly market assessment, and like the idea of the show, is that from a trader's perspective, this information is very important.
Oh yeah.
So this is big news for us. You guys go home and watch, the NBA draft. We go home and watch auctions while on the other TV the NBA draft's going on. So it's important for us to know this, because if we're gonna speculate on what something like this might sell for pre-owned, or let's say there's something similar, we need to know what the market dictates that the prices on this stuff's gonna be. So that being said,
is research for us.
Right. If you didn't get a chance to watch this, we have full screenshots. Josh took his time and cut these out for you guys. And there's some pricing on here, too, for what they sold for, which is pretty intuitive.
One thing that we have to do, because it's all speculation anyways, is determine, all right, is this an indicator of the market, or is this just one crazy bidder? So let's start with the first one was actually a Speedmaster that we saw. Do we have the screenshot of that? Hey! Okay, nice.
Go.
All right, so this is like 1950. The re-edition now is a 57, which actually I have one on the table, and we'll see when we come back. But so you can see what this sold for. Which, well, first of all, you see the estimate here, right? Sometimes the estimates are way off base. Sometimes they're not. I believe that the estimate going into it of between 80,000 and 140,000 Swiss francs was probably somewhat of an accurate assessment. If you could see there, the watch went for nearly $500,000. Right. So, or actually, I don't even know the conversion. I can look at it, but 400,000 Swiss francs this watch sold for. That's with the buyer's premium. But that's unbelievable. It shows that people are spending money on things other than Patek and Rolex. I mean, that's a huge thing. What do you think about that, Jason?
Yeah, so I think to speak to your point with the estimate on the Swiss franc, when you see an estimate that is roughly within $20,000 or $30,000 range, that means that some of these have already been sold. There's some results. They kind of have an idea.
It's a truly educated guess.
It's a truly educated guess. So the spread is not as wide. We'll see some of these other ones where the spread is $100,000.
Yeah,
so
or
really,
$50,000. That'll be the next one we talk about.
And we have no idea. It's kind of just uneducated guess at that point.
So,
but as far as the Speedmaster, I think it's really relevant because you're starting to see what we always talk about.
Yeah.
We'll cut into while I'm talking about it. We always talk about like these reissued vintage pieces and what they do for the new buyer, being able to get into something that's newer technology but older looking, which is what Josh is showing you now. That's the 38 millimeter version of the Speedmaster 57, which is basically new skin, old flavor of the watch we just showed you that sold for nearly
$500,000 over $500,000 US dollars, but 408,000 Swiss francs that watch sold for. So that was a big surprise.
Yeah,
Huge
you can get
surprise.
this one for just a little less than that.
Yeah,
so.
you can make us an offer. But yeah, so what we're seeing is that Omega, which the Speedmaster is their strongest watch, right? You would agree?
Yeah.
But even still, they tend to take a hit pre-owned. That's just the way it works. Omega, it's a mass producer of watches. They make good watches, but they make a lot of watches, so not that hard to get. You're usually seeing these watches at a great discount from the retail, except for maybe a few like the Snoopy, which has gone out of control, and that was a new thing from last year. Speedy Tuesday was really popular. So we're seeing a lot of people spending a lot of money on Speedmasters, so it's something to look at, right? Moving forward? Would you agree? All right, great. So the next one that was important for us to look at was there was a Patek, a Nautilus 3700 reference Nautilus. Okay, so this was a big deal as well. You can see that there was an estimate 50,000 Swiss francs to 100,000, which means basically they had no clue what it was going to sell for. And if you look at this reference that's not signed, and the biggest issue here, not the biggest issue, the biggest thing you want to look at here is that it's signed Gublin, right? So
which is super cool.
Co-signed Patek Nautilus dials go for insane amounts of money. Tiffany signed Patek Nautiluses go for crazy money. So this one has a small typeface Gublin written on the dial, and it went for roughly $70,000 more than what you see other Patek 3700 references in steel go for. But it is important. It's showing that the Nautilus is still going strong.
Yeah, and then so one of the things with that piece too is which is unique, and I'm sure brought some of that premium, is that had all the original Gublin box and paper set and everything.
Well, it had the cork box. Did it have the papers? I wasn't sure.
I think it did. I think it was a full set, which is like a rare unicorn. Very cool watch. Obviously that's not your guy that's buying his first Nautilus. That's a guy that's 7, 8 in, and that's definitely a grail piece for sure. I don't know about spending that extra lot though for the Gublin dial. But
I mean, listen, the watch is extremely rare.
If you got the money, I guess you can justify anything.
Well,
but
that goes for anyone who spent any money on these.
That's a
special
piece.
So when we look at something like this, we're saying, all right, well that reaffirms that the Nautilus is still strong.
For sure.
You can still see them selling for between 45 and 55, for the 5711 references.
Well, even more so, I think that what it does is, the newer pieces that are being put out today, they're so hard to get, and they're going for such a premium that it's like, why not go find one of the older pieces that was, started this trend, right? And it's truly rare and has a signed dial, and find something that's truly special and spend a tad more than just the hype that's on the secondary market.
Exactly. So, I mean, listen, you can go buy a brand new 5711 from, gray market dealer or pre-owned and spend your $50,000, or for only another $50,000, you can get something that's truly rare.
In this case, yeah.
Exactly. So, but again, it shows us that Nautiluses are going really strong. Yeah. So the next thing we saw, which was really, really interesting, was by Heuer. Pull that up.
Yeah, these are cool.
Boom. All right, so the Heuer Octavius. So these are watches that are probably selling for maybe in the low teens or even under 10, just last year or before. So we're seeing an uptick in the market on Heuer Octavias. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, they also have a reedition of this watch too.
Yeah.
So that was foresight by Tag. It seems like, right?
Well, I think. There's a lot of reedition pieces where they really focused and did the right reeditions. There are some vintage pieces that I would like to see some newer reeditions of, But
That'll be the next thing.
Yeah, this particular reference I think is pretty cool. You know, someone who likes vintage pieces, I would say got a pretty decent deal on this. I would say. I mean, I've seen these sell for 15 privately. So at an auction, if it's a piece you really wanted and it's just a 16, you know, I hear myself sometimes say like just another 50,000 or just another 16. Don't we become a little
jaded,
desensitized to this stuff? But trust me, we realize it's a lot of money. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's good to see that people are spending real. They're spending real money on things other than, again, Patek and Rolex, right? So the next one would be the Breitling 103, or sorry, Lot 103, a Breitling reference 765. So this is a great watch, and I wish that Breitling would. You were talking about certain watches that we want to see again. I feel like if Breitling made this watch right now or was a reedition, they would sell out of them. That'll never happen because they make so many, but they would certainly sell a ton of those watches, and that's what they like to do.
Well, Breitling undoubtedly is not listening to this, but this is what the Navitimer 8 should have been.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So it's a huge swing and a miss, in my opinion, on most of the Navitimer 8s. There's maybe one or two references that I find interesting, but something like this, a vintage reissue with like a helix sapphire crystal to look like acrylic, you know, very much along the lines of Ventra, like the Black Bay or something like that, which is vintage inspired, would just kill in a secondary market with the modern movement.
But look what this sold for also. I mean, how interesting is that, man?
Yeah.
I mean, there are some really cool vintage Breitlings. Actually, I brought in a lot of them. They'll be on the website hopefully in another few weeks or so.
That was a cool lot.
Right. Obviously not this model, but you know, look what that sold for. 23,750 Swiss francs. So, you know, you're talking what, roughly 30,000 US dollars?
Yeah, so I'm assuming with an estimate of 8 to 10, they figured, or 8 to 12, they figured 10.
Right.
Two bidders get into it. That's what happens at an auction. Yeah. Someone said for 23 grand, that's cool.
Most likely that's not, you know, representative of the market. That is exactly maybe
still
an excited bidder.
watch.
But I mean, yeah, that's fantastic to see, you know, a brand that again is not known for holding value has a really cool vintage watch. I mean, it's a 41 millimeter too. It's a great size for vintage watch. That's from 1965. Right. So I think that's a big deal, that watch right there, for the brand. So something that was kind of surprising to me would be the Brigades. We saw some really cool. We have lot 119, 120, 121. We saw some Brigades go for like absurd money. Look at this. So $25,000 to $50,000 estimate. So again, they really didn't know what this was going to sell for. Look what that sold for, $102,000 for this is the pre-Type 20. It's a beautiful watch.
Look at the patina on the dial.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. But so that's one thing. We see a lot of the Type 20s, Type 21s, all these watches, and they tend not to hold too much value, but it is a great watch for the brand. Seeing that this watch sold at such a huge premium, do you think that bodes well for the market of this?
Sure, I think any of these auctions that sell over estimate just restores some faith in the brand at a retail level as well. The one thing I will say with this Breguet and the other two lots as well is it's nice to see Breguet has that rich history,
right?
And their watches always look like all Brigades.
Yeah. Like you can't mistake it for anything else.
So some of the vintage stuff that's reissued, like Breguet doesn't need to reissue anything because their watches
just have
that heritage.
Yeah.
So you can almost mistake that for a newer generation Breguet if you're wearing it.
Exactly.
So
that's what's great about the brand. I mean, we know that Breguet, from a watchmaking standpoint, you can't go wrong. Unbelievable watches. Right. They just, you know, marketing distribution is not their strength, fortunately. So they make really great watches that tend not to hold as much value. But you can see, look at the estimate and look at the sale price of this watch as well. This is an early Type 20, 38 millimeters, great size. Also, it's probably a little undersized for modern times, but still, that's a watch that's probably going to be worn too. I doubt that that's going to be thrown in a case.
Sterile dial, very clean, very cool.
And then the last one that we saw would have been lot 121, also sold for, and that was there you go, 75,000 Swiss francs for an early Type 20. I mean, what a beautiful freaking watch, man.
Yeah, really pretty
as well.
Nice patina, even clean patina, all pretty much the same color except for that 12. But this is probably the closest iteration to a Type 20 that you see today, with the dial configuration and everything.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
So, I mean, you know, does this cause an uptick in pre-owned Type 20s being sold at a higher premium? I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. I think it definitely causes more of respect for the brand, for the guys that own them, and also maybe a little bit more confidence in going to find a pre-owned one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the next ones we were going to talk about were the Gégé LeCoultre, right? The JLCs.
cool.
Tim's favorite. All right, so yeah, they had the Memovox Polaris. This sold for $37,500, well above its estimate. And if you haven't noticed, JLC has just released a whole new line of Polaris, chronos, right? So this is kind of interesting to see a watch go like, maybe this is a situation where the re-edition caused somebody to go look for, an early one.
So the conspiracy theory in me would say that maybe like JLC released this from a vault somewhere in their collection and put it up at auction to run up the market because they're getting ready to launch the reissue. But just because that thing is so clean.
Well, these have been popular for a long time, but I mean that sale price is really high.
That's really high.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
It might be all the work Tim's been doing, putting stock into the brand the last 10 years.
That's right. Who knows? Wait, I have to see if Tim. Did we see Tim wearing this today? Maybe.
Well, that was Tim's watch.
All right. So the next one would be Lot 136, which is a Journe. I know we talk about Journe a lot. This is something that when we looked at it, we're very happy to see what it sold for, 83,750 Swiss francs. That's in line with what we estimate the market would have been. A lot of other people, obviously, you can see the estimate there, much lower. So that shows that, we're paying attention, and, us at Govberg and Watchbox, we're highly respectful of the brand. We believe in it. And if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have told you that's an $80,000 watch. Right. A lot of other people obviously wouldn't have. And what do we see? Somebody put their money where their mouth is, paid the $80,000 for, is that a ruthenium dial? I think so.
Yeah.
40 millimeter ruthenium dial. That's an absolutely gorgeous watch.
It's a beautiful piece, and for us, it's nice to know that the stuff that we spend our time researching and learning about too, and talking about customers holds water, which is nice. Sometimes you put a lot of research into something and you think highly of a brand and it sells under what you think, and it's a little disheartening, especially. And I don't even own the watch, so if I put my money into it and then found that out, but Journe is you see that little green arrow on market assessment?
Oh yeah, it's going
up. Strictly for the Journe.
We're all in on Journe. There's no no mistake about that, and we believe that as the brand gets more popularity, there's more demand for the brand, and the values are going to keep going up. But all right, what's the next one we're looking at? Let's see. Oh, this is an interesting one. All right, so I just threw this one in here. Because we tend to disrespect this brand a little bit in our office, be straight up with you. It's the Lot 140. It's the Urwerk.
This was the outlier.
Yeah. So this is a UR 110 rose gold. I always liked Urwerks. I thought they were cool, but in terms of market, I mean, if you ask me to buy this watch on a speculative basis, meaning that I gotta have to make like a real margin on the safe, watch dealer's got to make 15 or 20% margin on that watch in a reasonable amount of time. Who knows what you spend on that, right? Urwerk first of all, it's a very polarizing piece. There's not many people who know the brand who could read that, though once you figure out how to read, it's actually super easy. Right. It's awesome. What is it? What do they call that? Is that orbital?
Yeah.
There's a name for it, I can't remember. So, but also, not a lot of people can afford that type of watch. So, we tend to shy away. If we're being offered these watches, a lot of times we won't buy them because we aren't able to make a really good offer because it's hard to buy that watch on a speculative basis. So to see that watch, if we can pull it back up again, the auction result.
How much do you think the number was? Do you think the number was biased at all because of the celebrity aspect of it? There's notes there that Robert Downey Jr. wore it in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I don't know. I know that you're a big fan, so
but I don't know. Maybe another $50. I would have.
Well, you could see the estimate there: 50,000 to 100,000 Swiss francs. I mean,
they didn't
basically,
know.
It's a big guess. Like, hey, who the hell knows? Sold for 150,000. I mean, is that watch worth 150,000? Maybe.
There are some Urwerks that I like. This is not one of them.
Really? I don't know. I like that watch. So, but it's good to see a complete, what you would call an off-brand or a high horology piece that has a very limited market sell for an extreme amount of money. And maybe auctions are the best place for that watch also. So maybe that's what it's telling us. Maybe we shouldn't be spending our money on it because it needs to go to auction and be bid up.
Yeah.
That also could be a possibility of what that result's telling us. All right. The next one is going to be lot 169. And this is very, very interesting. It's the Rolex 16520. So you look at that, it's a run-of-the-mill Rolex Daytona, right? does have box and papers if you look into it. It's also a P serial, so it would have been like a 2000, 2001, but it's a Zenith movement. So essentially, this is one of the latest or last Zenith movement Daytonas. And if you ask me what that's worth right now, the answer is hard to tell, but probably somewhere in the 20s or so. This watch sold for 47,500 Swiss francs. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's insane, in my opinion. That's crazy.
At the top of the estimate, it's something that we would probably have gone after as a dealer. Right?
I think
the watch is worth
us as dealers, we're probably offering around $20,000 to somebody who's offering this, offering this watch.
47.5.
Yeah,
is, I mean, someone really wanted that watch.
That's right.
It's very cool. So here, when it comes down to vintage, and like this isn't necessarily vintage, but you're never gonna find another one, or it's gonna be very hard to find something that clean with full set. That's a P serial.
Well, he said it was unpolished.
Yeah,
But what's happening right now, in my opinion, is that it's Daytona Craze, right? People are losing their minds over Daytonas. They're just, they see these watches and they believe that they're either going up in value or the watches are going away. So that's when you get an auction result like that. So
one of the things though with the El Primero movement, like it's cool because it doesn't exist anymore. I think a lot of people don't understand. The movement is not better.
No.
Than what's in a current generation Daytona.
That's true.
Right? The movement just can't be had that way anymore.
Like vintage cars, right?
So it's scarce, which is why the price goes up. But I've had that question. People call me and tell me, hey, my friend told me I should find one with an El Primero. Why would I do that?
Sure.
I'm buying an older movement. You're really just, I mean, it's a great movement. It exists in many other watches now,
that
including
are worth far less.
Including, you can go buy an El Primero for a chronograph for $5-6 grand, and it'll be a fantastic watch.
Yeah.
It's just you can't find it in a Daytona anymore because they don't make it. So when you end up putting something like that you can't have in a very clean package that's complete and put it up at auction, and somebody really wants that watch, they're going to go crazy for it. I will say, I mean, just from that photo, that's probably never been worn. I mean, it's the cleanest example.
Yeah, I think it's
in a photo that I've ever seen of that watch.
I think the description was, unworn, unpolished, full set. I think it said it was bought in Spain originally. With punch papers. The watch is great. Is it a $50,000 watch?
No.
Well, it is for somebody. So now, current generation 5711s and Zenith Daytona's full set are $50,000. So the thing is, when I look at something like that, if somebody has one of these to offer me for sale, am I paying them $40,000? No, I can't. That's a watch I'd say, listen, appreciate the offer. If you want $40,000, it might be worth more than that. I would say take it to an auction house,
right?
Because as a speculator, I would not feel comfortable spending that much money on this watch. Maybe after I see 2, 3, 4, 5 of those types of sales, or 10 of those types of sales, or 15 of those types of sales, maybe then at that point we'd feel comfortable spending our hard-earned money on that watch as a speculator.
Right.
But when you see auction results like that, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I would believe, right? All right, so a few more we have here. So the next one would be lot 212 and 213. These are Panerais.
These.
There we go. Cool. So 212. This is an early 1950s Luminor. So the 6152-1. These had Angelus movements and Rolex movements. This one has a Rolex movement. You can see it went a little bit above its low end estimate. I don't know if there's a huge market for these anymore or still, but listen, 62,500 Swiss francs for an old Panerai. That's good money.
Still some Panerai guys out there.
Exactly. There's still guys out there, who respect the history and are looking to spend. So for me as a Panerai, for you as an enthusiast as well, it's good to see. The other one was lot 213, which was a Radiomir. Yeah, there you go. So I love this.
So yeah, that's gorgeous. Of the two though, the first one surprised me a bit for what it went for versus this one. I would have thought the other one would have went for more money.
Yeah.
But this has.
Well, there was a few things. If you read the description, the hands had been swapped out. Okay. The case wasn't in the best condition. On lot 212, this is 213.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite Panerai of all time, right? So this is the unsigned. This is the Comp Swimmer, I believe, was the nickname for this watch. The 3646, also a Rolex movement. But if you know anything about the brand or the history, you can see this was originally basically a Rolex pocket watch, oversized. They turned the dial the 90 degrees, so it became a wristwatch, and then they soldered on the lugs, and then they sewed on the strap. There is some controversy if you look online. There's Periscope, who's a historian. He's been outing fakes and things like that. So I wonder if that has anything to do with the market going up or down. Don't know. But it is interesting to see that people are willing to spend real money on watches like this. The next one is going to be lot 233, which was pretty amazing. We did talk about this brand last week, which is Longa. See if we can pull that up. Lot 233. That's 234. Okay, we can still talk about it. There you go, 233. Yeah. So this is the highest ever auction price for a Longa. So that is great. I mean, that shows that the brand is getting really, really strong. This is a one-off steel piece that was made for this auction specifically, and you can see. So there was probably some gamesmanship in terms of getting this. I watched this auction result live actually, and you saw there was a few bidders who were going back and forth, right. And it was for charity, so you take it with somewhat of a grain of salt, but it is good. Listen,
well, so for market perspective, I mean, it really doesn't matter because it's a piece unique. Like there's never going to be another one. So,
but it's an all boats rise scenario where if somebody's willing to spend that much money on a basic steel piece like this.
So lot 234 tells us a little bit more about the market because it's a piece that's further obtainable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like what we were talking about with Journe and Patek and even Rolex, and people are looking for an alternative to put their money into.
Right.
And at 20 to 40, that watch is probably estimated at 30. Mm-hmm. I would say is pretty comfortable. Someone spent $42,000 on that watch, inclusive of fees. It's wearable, 42 millimeter, right? Just fantastic watch for the money. And if I'm gonna spend $50,000 on a steel Nautilus with a simple movement.
Everything comes back to the steel Nautilus.
I mean, and listen, it's just like Rolex. It's the thing that you're going to measure it against. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why wouldn't you buy a 40 millimeter platinum?
Yeah,
complex
time zone
movement,
1, which is obviously going to have as good, if not a better movement. Obviously, more.
Once there's steam behind the brand and more respect for the brand, it's going to trade easier. So you're only a couple years away from that thing being super hot and being able to trade it very quickly.
That's true. And then, so we're going to wrap it up here. We have one last one that I thought was interesting. It would have been lot 273. It was Audemars Piguet. And this is a watch that really, in the past, like I remember seeing these listed for sale and right within those estimates, right? So $25,000 to $35,000. And I thought to myself, for a perpetual calendar, a steel 39 millimeter perpetual calendar, sporty looking wearable watch, I thought that watch should be worth more money. And finally we're seeing an uptick, and maybe it is a consequence of the brand getting super hot that now people are beginning to respect this specific watch, look for these because they're out here. This is not a hard watch to find.
100%. It's all the entire brand's hot, and that's what's driving this watch, like you said, did get passed by a lot of people. I think the open work has a lot to do with why people are starting to lolook at these.
Sure. The open work is insane. I mean,
the open work is insane, but if you wanted a 15202 and you can't get one, or a 15400 and you like it but it's a little too big, now you're looking at the chrono, but you always wanted the open work and you don't want to spend the money, like this is an awesome alternative, and the watches are out there. You can find them. But
it's not that hard of a watch to find. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, you could pick whatever you wanted of this piece. It was everywhere.
Yeah. Exactly. So they're starting to drive. Well, the open work is one that's crazy. I think that's like a $45,000 retail watch.
But
the double balanced in steel, and now the watch, I was offered one for $78,000. Obviously, I didn't buy the watch, but the person who offered it to me had sold it that week. So you can see what's going on with Audemars Piguet. The market is completely insane. And they discontinued a few watches too, Royal Oak Offshores. There's a few different models that discontinue. You'll start seeing that. That's the last model, I think, to kind of get the uptick in the value, even though it has gone up a bit. That was traditionally the watch that you could probably find the largest discount on if you shopped around different retailers throughout the country.
Sure.
Now those retailers don't exist anymore. They were shut down. Many retailers were shut down, and all the retailers that are still in partnership with the brand being limited in terms of their watches, us included, because the brand wants to sell through the boutique, which is understandable from a brand's perspective. You really don't find discounts at the boutique, and now you don't find discounts through retailers either because there's enough.
That's true, and I think the important thing to take away from there, and we talked about that, them going vertical, is that's a good thing. It's great for what we're doing, and it makes it a little tougher for us to get customers' watches new. But we consider that a lot of our business is pre-owned, buy, sell, and trade. All it does is make the brand stronger and better. on the secondary market.
Yeah, it's a bit of pain for some of the customers who are used to being able to get discounts and things like that. But once you get over that and you realize, hey, I'm buying something that's actually worth what I'm paying,
it makes the hunt harder. Mm-hmm. But we enjoy a hunt, so it only makes it better once it pays off.
That's exactly right. All right, so. That's our weekly market assessment. That was it was a little tedious. We had a lot of stuff to cover there.
Well, so there was a lot of information. I think we got through it as quickly as we could. If you thought that was tedious, then spend several hours watching the entire auction on pins and needles. But I think that was the highlight of the show. We hit most of there was obviously a lot more watches.
Yeah.
But if you guys thought that was interesting, then maybe log into the next auction, and actually watch it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully next time, if we do one of these with the auction results, you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, auction results are important to a certain degree. When you see, and it is an all boats rise thing. I think we saw the explosion of the 5711 and the Daytona in the last 2 years because of these crazy auction results. So, all right, you know what? I want to say, guys, I'm a little disappointed. I don't see that many questions coming through in the chat box. So
they're having a good time. Well, we didn't mention
we're having fun.
We didn't mention Panerai too much or JLC too much, so they're not drinking.
Panerai,
JLC, Tim Masso, green upside down glasses, JLC.
All right. Well, here's a question. Pretty specific. Richard Atkinson asked if the prices include the buyer's premium. The answer is yes. At first, I thought they didn't, but the answer is yes. All the prices that you saw do include the buyer's premium.
Right. Yeah, we made sure to find that out before.
See any other good questions here?
I was scrolling through. Seems like the guys are happy talking to each other.
Check the poll. I have a feeling I'm probably going to win.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Check it. We're gonna check it.
Nope.
Check the poll.
Oof.
Fake news, guys. This is total BS. I don't agree with this or believe it. Jesus. Oh, by the way, guys, we have a soundboard.
Yeah. Should we hit him with another one?
I mean, whatever. It's your soundboard, not mine.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. All right. Well, fake news. The Finissimo, while it's a nice watch, I don't think is better than the Lindy Verdolin.
And he succeeds.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. We got anything else? Kind of petering out at the end here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that this show, again, very detail oriented. Next time we'll just wing it. We won't prepare as hard, and then it'll be a little bit more aloof and fun. Okay. We pulled a couple watches on the table. You want to show those off?
Yeah, go for it. What'd you get?
Did we show the 57 already? I think we did, right?
Yeah, we already showed the 57. The 5070?
Yeah, it's the 5070. You can grab the other one. We'll just do this first. I'm going to take the plastic off here.
Yeah, don't take it off.
That's just eye candy right there. I don't know if you can get a good... There's a glare on there. There you go. Look at that dial. What do you think about the Arabic numerals? You like those?
I love Arabic numerals across the board on all my watches, honestly. Well, it's like military dial, some people call
clean.
it.
It's very popular.
Not as popular from retail or from a full perspective, but personally, love Arabic numerals.
Yeah. What do you got there?
Last one we'll look at right here. It's a 5130P. It's the blue dial. Getting a bit of a premium. It's a fantastic watch. I love this. So it's a world timer. See, there's like GMT style. Paddock. Blue strap. This one's like new too. See if we can get a picture or somewhat of it.
That micro rotor.
Yeah, micro rotor.
The Bulgari that won has a micro rotor as well. If I didn't mention that 5 times.
All right, cool.
All right, well, I think we'll go ahead and call this episode dead.
Yeah, we're gonna call it day.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for sitting in with us, listening to our market assessment. If you have any comments or think we were wrong about anything, keep it to yourself. Don't contact us about that stuff. But if you have any praises or think we were right, please send those over to us.
All pats on the shoulders here.
That's right. All right. Remember, subscribe to our channel. It's very important. More subscribers, the more content we can put out or something like that, I guess.
Right.
Also, follow us on Instagram, Watchbox Global. Also, Watchbox HK too, because we have a Hong Kong location.
Our Instagrams are in the subject. In the description, our personal Instagrams.
Are they? Nice, yeah. I'm Mr. Thanos. It's very easy to remember because it's my name, also who I am, Mr. Thanos. His is wonky and weird. What is it?
It's Evo X4B11.
Yeah, whatever
and,
that means.
If you think that's wonky or weird, you're obviously a little tilted. But and you tend to go on and lose this or that quite often, apparently.
All right, well, I'll pick a Rolex Daytona next time and win. All right, guys. Anything else we got to mention? That's it? All right, cool. Subscribe. See you next week. Adios.